Excuse me. Boom, this, that. Very good question. So, bing, bang, boom. Done and done. In case you're wondering, I do put this thing on Do Not Disturb while I am recording. And that way it doesn't beep, beep, beep during the podcast. Now, I also realize that the sound quality is actually changing. I might have to start listening to this a little bit more. All right. Make that spelling mistake correction. Get this. Some final notes here cut. Oh, I never did that. I got interrupted, and then I never did finish that. 1 mile. 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, 150 squats, 1 mile. That's what I was looking up, and I forgot to finish. 23 minutes for that. 1 mile. Yep, 10:20 for that one. I know, a little bit of a mafanla here, but bear with me. I'm just updating the half Murph timing. Oh, and then that was 22:44. And 1 mile. Also, why is there no data? Should be data. Data that thing. And that is 9:14 for that second mile. Wow. That's fast. All right, good. Bada bing, bada boom. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. It's the weekend already. Workout, and how was that back? Doing all right, did the half Murph. Air raid siren this weekend. Never heard one before. Changsha burns. Wow. And, what else can we talk about before the weekend ends? Good question. Friday, September 16th, 2022. I'm Steven Sersky, and folks, this here is my daily audio digest in which I update you on some of the workouts that I do in my free time. So I do quite a bit of running these days, and I've taken up doing the Murph challenge from CrossFit. But also some of the things that are going on here in Beijing, China. I live here now, and I live and work here at the moment. How long? Good question, because there seem to be quite a few people leaving. But also some of the things that affect us expats in and around China and in general as well. So, yeah. Weekend already. Well, good. I don't work on weekends, but it doesn't really seem like it that I have a day off anymore because of the simple fact that I got this Delta program that I'm going through. And for those of you who haven't been just joining us and maybe missed a couple episodes or something, I've been working at this Delta program as a certificate or a diploma program aimed at English teachers, English language teachers, such as myself, who are involved in the ESL industry. And the idea is to sort of upgrade our knowledge, not just of the English language and how to teach it, but also sort of puts us on track for more administration and course design, syllabus design, course layout sort of pathways as well. So this takes up a lot of my free time in the evenings, and then even on the weekends, I spend a lot of time reading up on the different theories and some of the issues sort of facing ESL and some of the methodologies to address learner issues. It's fascinating, actually, to tell you the truth. And I remember the head instructor, saying that, if you have no other life commitments, like partners and children, or anything else, it's actually kind of enjoyable. I'm doing the Delta Module 1. So there's 3 modules total, and I'm on Module number 1. If all goes well, I will be doing Module number 3 starting in January. And so that will, it'll keep me busy for the next 6 to 7 months or so. Delta Module 2, I'd have to find a classroom setting or something along the lines so I can work out. It's a different beast, Module 2. It's a little bit more intensive, and it requires actually getting into the classroom and doing some teaching work as well, which, as I've sort of said before, I'm not entirely interested in doing too much of these days, although I still appreciate the work that goes into it. I'd actually much rather be moving away from the classroom and moving into other roles instead. So that's my weekend. Now, the one thing is that Plan B, the bar nearby, is actually, they have free burgers and beer starting at 12 until 2 p.m. I'm not sure how it's going to work. Good question. Whether or not it's going to be all free all the time, or there's going to be a ticketing system, or if it's going to be like a first come first serve sort of basis, and how many people are going to show up and what's the lineup going to be like. Good question. Don't know. So I'd like to go. If I don't, though, it's going to be because I'm going to be reading up on this Delta stuff and probably doing some more work on the next episode of my podcast, episode number 33. So for those of you who aren't aware, also, I also do, this is my daily audio digest. I publish this Monday to Friday. I have another bigger, longer, uncut, extended edition podcast, not dealing with just everyday life, more dealing with expats who are either living in China, have lived in China, or some other people that I know who are doing some interesting things around the world. And you can find that podcast up on my website, stevensersky.com, under the podcast page. And that's the latest episode number 32 with Omar Badre. Was just released yesterday. Episode number 33 is in the works, and I should hopefully have that out by next week. If you're wondering why it takes me some time to sort of get these things done, given that I recorded both episodes a couple of weeks back, one of the reasons for the delay in getting these things through is there's variations in how I record them. So if there was a standard way for me to just record it the same way all the time, I don't think I'd be fiddling with post-production, audio post-production, as much as I do right now. For instance, and given that I am my own sound engineer, I don't have anybody else doing this for me. For Omar's podcast, I mean, he's a bit more of a quieter speaker than I am. My other guest is a little bit louder, so it's a little bit easier so far. But this contrasts heavily with doing something over Zoom, which Zoom does a lot of the mixing and the dynamic effects for me. So it's a little bit easier to sort of assemble. So, yeah, I was actually thinking of some ways to remedy this situation, make my life easier. None of it seems to be really cheap. I mean, it's good. It might cost 2,000 to 3,000 RMB, $600 or so. Or, you know what, you just deal with it. And I just stop trying to, finagle sound that maybe can only be so good to begin with, right? Because I understand that the way that I'm recording it, the way that things are sort of set up, I mean, there's only so much you're going to be able to get out of it anyway before you start distorting the sound. And that's what I was trying to do, is try and boost the volume while not distorting the sound for episode number 32. But you can check that out, stevensersky.com. That's where you'll find it. There's 32 episodes so far. That's only because I record them every now and then. And they're longer, extended conversations with expats and other people that I know, both here in China and outside as well. And again, with this audio blog, you can find it under the audio blog section of my website as well. Half Murph. So how is my back doing? I kind of threw it out a couple days ago on Wednesday, and yesterday I was kind of taking it easy. Today I woke up still a bit stiff, and I was like, okay, we're gonna go half. We're gonna do quarter Murph. So this Murph workout is this CrossFit. Like, if you've ever heard of CrossFit, this is one of the workouts that they do. A full Murph consists of a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 air squats, followed by another 1 mile run. 1 mile being 1.6 kilometers. Now, I got up this morning thinking I would do a quarter of that. So 25, 50, and then 100. But when I got out there, I was actually surprised at how fast and easy the 25 pull-ups went. And I was like, all right, let's do half. So I went 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, and 150 squats. That took me 22 minutes and 44 seconds total for those rounds. The first mile took me 10 minutes and 20 seconds. The second mile took me 9 minutes and 14 seconds. Altogether, that's what, 32, 42, roughly 42 minutes to do the whole workout. Then I had to work. But it was, I was actually kind of impressed that I was able to do that much that quickly. And I'm starting to think that it might be, oh, and by the way, this is all unweighted. This was, again, to try to sort of ease my way back into the workout. I didn't want to sort of strain anything and have more problems down the line. But that being the case, unweighted, and the whole round. So, the 42 minutes, not bad, pretty good. I still fit it in before work, and yeah. Air raid siren test this week. I've heard the air raid siren. This would be going on probably 3 times that I can recall that this thing has gone off. So what happens is that starting at 10 o'clock, they do 3-minute air raid siren, and then I think is at 10:30 or 11 o'clock. There's 3 different sirens that they will sound, and they're all at specific times. They've published it. They've made it all very well known, so you don't freak out and go, "What's going on? Why? What's interrupting my cell phone game here?" Right? But they're going to do this tomorrow. I've recorded this once before, and they've also done something outside the 5th Ring Road. I think that was last year. I think that they said they were going to do the air raid, and then it was only outside the 5th Ring Road that you could hear it. But tomorrow is going to be the full city. So I've never heard these before. Again, well, here in Beijing, I've heard them, but I don't know. Does Ottawa have these? Does London do these? Does Paris? Tokyo? Do any other major cities go through these sorts of drills? And how often do they do that? Very good question. Don't know. Should look that up. But that'll provide some entertainment tomorrow morning before Plan B's Free Burgers Beer Fest. So yeah, we should be able to get out there for that. We'll see how that is. Well, yeah, I think the last air raid siren will go off as the beer garden kicks off, basically. Changsha fire. Wow. Yeah, a building burned, like one of those skyscrapers, not like one of the really modern-looking skyscrapers that you'd see in Shanghai or even in the downtown of Beijing, but like one of the token skyscrapers that a mobile company, China Telecom, built this skyscraper in Changsha, and I think Changsha is where Mao came from or Xi Jinping came from. Some like party cadres come from there, so it's sort of famous for that. I think it's Mao, and this tower burned. Now they're saying there's no casualties. Good, awesome, because the way that thing burned, it was, we only saw, like, the videos you'll find online show the thing like engulfed in flames already, and it's just like you sit there kind of going, wow, how could you survive? Hopefully you're on the opposite side of the building, but even still, how would you get out of that? It's a very tall building. Elevators, if they're like typical Chinese elevators, you're going to wait 10 minutes for the thing to get up to you. It's going to stop off on every other floor and go up to the top of the building, then come back down. I know because my building's the same way. It has 2 elevators, and it still takes 5 minutes. Even though one elevator's parked on the ground, the other one's in motion, and so the computer doesn't kick in that it can send the second elevator up to my floor to take the one person down. It saves its energy, I guess. The one thing that I would sort of wonder is going to happen is there going to be more fire suppressant technology installed. By that, what do you call it? Those little nozzles, like those water nozzles that they have in just about every building around the world except here in China. None of them have them. Okay, no, not none of them. Very few of them have them. The ones that I guess had foreign architects, foreign companies involved or something, and they spent that money. But I'm looking at my apartment. There's nothing. There's fire extinguishers outside, outside, like in each floor has one fire extinguisher. I don't. So if that might save one apartment, assuming that you can get to the fire extinguisher, assuming that you don't leave your apartment, the door slams behind you, locking you outside of your apartment, and then you can't put out the fire because you've got the fire extinguisher, but you don't have your keys because they're inside of the burning apartment. I laugh, but honestly, this is actually something that I've never had to think about before either. And although comical in comedy situations and cartoons, and maybe a funny movie, would not want to be the receiving end of that real life joke of fire suppressing technology. So yeah, a little bit scared about that one. It's a concern. It's a concern. All right, so I have a couple other topics here, and I might save one or two of them for tomorrow. One of the quickest ones that sort of popped up today actually was that Joe Rogan said this. He posted this today on his Instagram, saying that China has found some sort of new mineral on the moon, and he writes in part of the caption, and part of it is that this mineral will enable nuclear fission, I think, and so it's like, unlimited power. China's racing ahead in terms of power development. And then in the caption, he's saying, it's time to brush up on that Mandarin, kids. I'm like, first of all, no. Oh, good luck. Number two, they'd better be able to replicate this thing here on Earth, because it doesn't seem like it'd be financially viable to get it from the moon, right? Number three, kind of going, I'm smelling outside my window today, going, that's coal dust. Why would they go to fission when they have lots of coal and the people can't really complain about it anyway? Right. I mean, I don't know. And this actually, the comment about time to learn Mandarin struck me, because this actually refers back to my my little spiel yesterday, my little shui shuo, my little talkie talk about learning Ukrainian. Like, would you learn Ukrainian given all the goings on in that country right now? Or would you learn another Eastern European language? Or would you learn Mandarin Chinese, given that most of the educated Mandarin speakers speak English or another language? And unless you're dealing with someone directly in the mainland who's never left the country before, you might not need to know the language. But this spurred another thought. Amazing how that happens in these times. What about that AI tech? So I mentioned this yesterday. I was saying that how was it going to... Yesterday was more about how it was going to affect our brain, how affect our development, the brain's development. Now, and I gave a little bit of an outline how, you could have a computer that sort of attaches to your temple and projects a 3D glasses, a screen in front of you that only you can see. It's transparent to everybody else, but you can see it perfectly. Maybe there's an earpiece that's connecting the sound as well. Maybe not an invasive earpiece, but maybe it's like just resting on the outside of your earlobe or something like that. I got thinking, I think one of the reasons that we have to invest in AI technology is because of the globalization, because of the threats that we can't. How long does it take to learn a language? How many people can we trust who know the languages that are necessary to know when there's a military threat or some sort of threat? You can't train people that fast enough. Although governments will spend money on, fostering language development, this is actually a defense mechanism. It's not so much a cultural and a propaganda thing, although humans are susceptible to that. With the computer AI tech, the computer sort of translated languages, it actually seems that it might be one of these things that needs to be done, because if there's a threat from not so much a country or a language that we don't know, it's the language that we do know. Can we translate it properly? Can we pick up on the subtleties? can we pick up on the maybe even the innuendo or the code words that they could be using that, and then cross-referencing that with, current social trends, social media trends, right? So, and I've spoken before about how TikTok is one of these, data mine platforms, kind of like the same way that, what would you say, Instagram is sort of data mining as well, but Western social media sort of mines your data to sell it to advertisers. Well, whereas there's a big accusation that Chinese app developers and everything, they more focus on, taking your data and profiling you for some reason, which is never really clear. Like, what are they doing with this again? So, getting back to this, I mean, does it mean that is AI technology automated translation, wherein you can pull data sets, language sets from known databases of spoken and translated languages, be it electronic dictionaries or whatever, and then cross-referencing all those, any terms that are being translated real time with anything on social media to pick up any sort of like whispers, if you will, right? So feeding that all in. And of course, this gets me thinking, like, especially with Joe Rogan, who's talked to Edward Snowden quite a bit about how the U.S. is spying on all its people, and even though Snowden is hiding out in Russia, I mean, is there something to be said about developing this? And if a private company did it, would that make it any better than if the government was doing it, right? I think that's one of the things, is that when there's lots of accusations about governments doing that, it's always probably jealous business owners who are saying, well, that was my idea. I wanted to do it. And you stole my idea. Now I can't make money off it. Which is, I mean, there's something to be said about that. But at the same time, you're kind of going, maybe the government's just getting the ball rolling on it, right? And in time, kind of like how Elon Musk is the most famous example of sort of privatizing some space exploration. Same with Richard Branson, same as well. Like space technology development, sort of pushing that forward, and then like how Apple and IBM and Microsoft, although they've probably all gotten government money at some point, they've been really sort of on their own and sort of developing their own technology and the iteratives the next iterations of the technology as it stands. All right, so I'm going to leave it there because that was enough of thinking for one episode. I guess the question comes down to, can we trust the people who know the languages that are necessary to translate what's needed to be translated right now? But at the same time, can we make the system safe enough that they can't be hacked and compromised in any way? Interesting thinking. So, yeah, that's all because of a China moon rock, new fission material. They're speeding ahead in terms of space technology. Oh my God, what are we going to do about it? Sort of an Instagram post. I'll leave the next topics for next week. I'll keep them up, and we'll talk about them next week. All right, folks, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Again, episode number 32 of my big cast up on my website, stevensersky.com. Under the podcast link, these audio blogs, the show notes, tracks, and vids are available. The whole archive for the last year or so, as far as I can tell, are available on my website, stevensersky.com, under the audio blog section. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you some of you out tomorrow, out and about doing burgers and beers at Plan B. If not, Plan A is to get the Delta done, or at least some of the reading. Have a good weekend anyway. Enjoy the time. Enjoy the nice weather so far here in Beijing. And we'll talk again. Bye-bye.